Hi guys, so for today's discussion, we are going to talk about aggregate planning. So we have different strategies in developing a plan. The first is using a chase strategy, which attempts to achieve the output rates for each period that match the demand forecast for that period. So basically, using a chase strategy, so ibig sabihin lang niya, nagmamatch lang yung forecast with your output. So, meaning, no inventory since kung ano lang yung kailangan, yun lang yung pinaproduce niya. Yung only disadvantage lang ng plan na ito is that you have a lot of time to hire and lay off your workers. Kasi nga, kailangan equal lang yung forecast with your production output. Now, the second strategy is using level strategy, which includes daily production is uniform from period to period, and this works well when demand is reasonably stable. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinabing level strategy, so uniform yung amount of production units na ginagamit for each period. Now, sa current status ngayon, so nagko-combine ngayon yung mga companies between chase and level strategy. So, usually, yung mga subcontracting, doon ina-apply yung chase, and then for regular and overtime, so doon ginagawa yung level strategy. Pero, it depends from company to company kung anong strategy yung mas nag-work best for them. Now, example, planners for a company are about to prepare the aggregate plan that will cover 6 periods. So, they have assembled the following information. So, we have 6 periods and we have forecasted the following values for each period. So, the cost is also given. So, for regular production output, so this is $2 per unit. If overtime naman yung gagamitin, so we have $3 per unit. If magka-subcontract, so $6 per unit, and then the inventory and backlog is $1 per unit and $5 per unit respectively. Now, for the problem, the company want to evaluate a plan that calls for a steady rate of regular time output, mainly using inventory to absorb the uneven demand but allowing some backlog. They intend to start with 0 inventory on hand in the first period. Now, assume a level output rate of 300 units per period with regular time. Note that the planned ending inventory is 0 and there are 15 workers. Now, in this example, so sinabi that they will be using a steady rate of regular time output, which means this is using a level strategy. Now, they want to start with 0 inventory, and then yung ending inventory is also 0. So, for our level output rate, so we have 300 units per period. Now, ang key lang dito, sabi kasi no inventory on hand and no ending inventory din siya. So, ibig sabihin, your total forecast should equal your total output. This time, ang binanggit lang naman is regular production output. Now, if you're going back to our given, so if we get the total of the forecast, so from period 1 to period 6, so it will give us a total of 1,800 units. Now, if 300 yung ating production per period, so 300 times 6, so 1,800 din. So, equal lang sila. So, ibig sabihin, there is no room for us to make use of overtime or even subcontract. Kasi nag-match lang or nag-equal lang yung forecast natin with the regular time production. Now, sa ating table, so ito yung magiging itsura ng ating solution. So, we included the period, yung forecast, and then yung regular output production. And then we also have the difference between the output and the forecast. So, ito kasi yung magsasabi sa atin kung may units bang matitira or mapapapunta doon sa inventory natin. So, inventory naman is composed of your beginning inventory, your ending inventory, your average inventory, and backlog. So, si average inventory, so yun lang naman yung average between your beginning and ending inventory. And backlog, so ito naman yung units na pwede mong ipangako doon sa customer na sa susunod mong period na ibibigay or isusupply sa kanya. So, pag sinabi kasing backlog, so yun yung mga units na kulang sa'yo at the current period, and then ipapromise mo na lang na ibigay or isupply for the following periods. Okay? Now, dun sa ating solution, so we are going to write the given information. So, yung 6 periods, and then, if we get the total, we have 1,800. Now, ang sabi, we will be producing at a regular output rate of 300 units per period. So, we are going to write 300 for each period in the regular output rate. So, we have 300 for the first period, for the second, for the third, fourth, fifth, and on the 6th period. And if we get the total, it's again 1,800. So the next row that we are going to fill in is the difference between the output and the forecast. Now, take note that if your output minus forecast is positive, ibig sabihin, mapapapunta ito sa ating inventory. Kapag negative naman siya, so kailangan malaman natin kung meron ba tayong extra inventory to cover that difference, or kapag wala tayong inventory to cover that, so pupunta naman siya sa backlog. Now, 300 minus 200 for the regular minus forecast, so 100. So, ibig sabihin, we have excess production of 100 units for period 1. If we get the difference naman in period 2, so we also have excess production of 100 units. However, on period 3, so sakto lang, since the forecast is 300 and that your regular production output is also 300. Now, if you look closely at period 4, so we can see that your forecast is larger than your production output. So, if you get the difference between your output of 300 and your forecast, so magne-negative 100 tayo. So, ibig sabihin, on period 4, kulang yung ating regular output doon sa forecast sa period na yun. Now, if you look also at period 5, so we can see that the forecast is larger than 300. So, definitely, we'll have 200 units short for period 5. And then, si period 6, so again, we'll have a positive difference of 100 kasi naging excess yung ating production on that time. Now, after filling in your output minus forecast row, the next row we are going to fill in is yung beginning inventory row. Na ang sabi, 0 yung kanyang beginning inventory. Now, if we look closely at period 1, so, ang sabi, wala siyang beginning inventory. Pero, dahil sobra yung production natin ng 100 units, yun yung naging positive na difference. So, yung 100 units na excess will be put in your inventory, and yun yung magiging ending inventory natin sa period 1. So, inad lang natin yung 0 with the positive difference of 100. So, kaya meron tayong ending inventory na 100 on period 1. Now, sa period 2, kung ano yung naging inventory mo on the previous period, maki-carry over siya sa next period. So, since yung ending inventory natin for period 1 is 100, so sa ating period 2, magkakaroon din tayo ng 100 na beginning inventory. Now, ang sabi, kay period 2, we also have a positive difference between the forecast and your output. So, dahil meron tayong existing 100 units of inventory, tapos meron pa ulit naging excess from that period, so, yung ating magiging ending inventory is just the sum of your actual beginning inventory and the excess production. So, 100 plus 100, magiging 200 na yung ating ending inventory. So, ito na yung running level of our inventory. Now, again, yung ating ending inventory sa period 2 will be the beginning inventory of period 3. So, kaya may 200 doon sa ating period 3. Now, walang excess production. So, ibig sabihin, hindi din na-use up yung 200 units sa ating inventory. So, ending inventory remains the same. So, again, ang inventory pwede siyang magamit based doon sa ating output minus forecast. Pero since from periods 1 to 3, hindi pa naman siya kailangan gamitin, so kaya nagko-compound or nag-accumulate yung ating inventory. Now, again, ending inventory at period 3 is 200. So, it will be your beginning inventory naman sa period 4. So, kaya may 200 tayo. Now, look closely at period 4. We have 200 units beginning inventory. Pero ang sabi kay period 4, masya-short siya ng 100 units kasi mas malaki yung forecast doon sa regular production output. So, kailangan gamitin natin yung ating existing inventory para ma-cover up yung ating kailangan na isupply for period 4, which is 100 units. So, mangyayari, yung beginning inventory natin na 200, mababawasan siya ng 100 units kasi nga kailangan niyang i-cover yung sufficient or insufficient output doon sa 4th period, which gives us an ending inventory of just 100. So, 100 na lang kasi nga nagamit na. And then again, ending inventory at period 4 will be the beginning inventory of period 5. So, may 100. Now, look at this closely. So, ang sabi, meron tayong beginning inventory of 100. Ang kaso, we have a difference of negative 200. So, ibig sabihin, kulang yung ating current inventory level with the needed requirement doon sa ating period 5. So, naging 0 yung ating ending inventory kasi na-use up lahat. And at the same time, meron pa kasi tayong 100 na hindi nasasatisfy, kaya pupunta siya doon sa ating backlog. Okay? And then, dahil wala na tayong inventory sa period 5, wala rin tayong inventory sa period 6. Now, dun sa ating nakaraang periods, ina-add lang natin, di ba? Kaso, doon sa ating period 5, may backlog. So, ibig sabihin, yung excess production daw ni period 6 will be used para masatisfy natin yung backlog na 100 from the previous period. So, kaya yung inventory, kumbaga, hindi na siya mag-stay sa inventory yung excess production kasi ipapadala na siya kaagad doon sa customer natin. Kasi nga may backlog tayo na 100 sa period 5. So, kaya 0 na din siya. Okay? And then, after filling that in, the next row is yung average inventory. So, we are just going to get the average between the beginning and the ending inventory. So, it will be 50 for the first period, and 150 for the second, 200 for the third, 150 for the fourth, 50 for the fifth, and 0 for the sixth period. So, we're going to get the sum of the average inventory and the backlog. So, that is 600 units and 100 units for the backlog. So, the next step is to calculate the cost. Ano yung cost ng plan na ito? So, we're just going to get all the sum ng mga key elements natin, which are your regular production, which is 1,800 times 2, kasi yun yung given kanina, $2 per unit daw. So, that gives you 3,600. For your inventory, we have 600 times 1, so that is 600. And finally, for the backlog, that's 100 units times 5, that's $500. Now, if you're going to get the total, to get the cost of this plan, so we have a total of $4,700. So, dun sa plan natin na level production with a steady rate of regular output. So, ito yung cost ng plan na iyon. Now, let's move on to a second example. So, using the same setup from the first example, the only change here is that one of their regular employee will be retiring, thus making the regular production only 280 units per period. So, from 300, naging 280 na lang siya. Now, the management wanted to use overtime to make up for lost output. The maximum overtime output is 40 units, and we want to compare the cost of this plan to the previous plan. Now, for our solution, so dinagdagan natin ng overtime yung ating row. So, kasi clearly, yung ating regular output will be insufficient to cover your total forecast. So, we have your given. So, 1,800 pa rin naman siya. However, yung regular natin will be steady at 280 units na lang for each period. So, ayan sila. And yung ating total is 1,680 units na lang. So, we want to know at what periods ba ilalagay yung overtime. Not to the point na maging excess yung production natin. So, kasi nga, ang sabi, ang beginning inventory and ending inventory are both 0. So, dapat yung total output ko using regular and overtime will still be equal to the total forecast, which is 1,800 units. Now, let's try solving how many periods ba ang kailangan maglagay ng overtime. Now, in here, we know that the total forecast is 1,800. The total regular output is 1,680. And the total required overtime output is 120. So, that is just a difference between 1,800 and 1,680. Now, the periods to use overtime is simply dividing your total overtime by 40 kasi maximum nga yung ating overtime. So, this gives us 3 periods to include overtime in the production plan. So, going back to our solution, so kanina ang sabi, 3 periods daw kailangan ilagay yung overtime. Now, 3 periods can be arbitrary, so pwede nyo siyang laruin, pero yung mga obvious periods na lang yung ating gamitin kung saan kailangan ng overtime. So, syempre, lalagay natin yung overtime dun sa mga periods na obvious yung magiging negative yung output minus forecast natin. And yun yung mga periods na mas malaki yung forecast kaysa sa regular production output. So, that will be in period 3, 4, and 5. So, again, total of 120 units. Now, again, inventory on hand natin for the beginning is, dun mo tayo sa output minus forecast. So, output minus forecast is 280 minus 200. So, we have excess production of 80 units. For the second period, ganun ulit. So, 80. However, on the third period, we have adjoined regular and overtime. Ima-minus natin siya sa forecast. So, meron pa tayong excess na 20. Next period, number 4. So, 280 plus 40 minus 400 gives us negative 80. So, kinulang na yung ating output sa forecast. And then, for the fifth period, ganun din. So, kulang naman ng 180 units. Pero si period 6, so, meron tayong excess na 80 units. Now, dun sa ating beginning inventory, sabi sa atin, 0 daw ang beginning inventory. And ganun ulit. So, magkakaroon tayo ng ending inventory for period 1 since nagkaroon tayo ng excess production for that period. So, 0 plus 80 is 80 for your ending inventory. Again, 80 will be carried over onto the next period. Then, on the second period, may excess production siya ulit. So, i-add lang natin yung dalawa. So, 80 plus 80, you have 160 ending inventory. Again, 160 will be carried over onto the next period. Meron pa rin tayong excess production. So, mag-accumulate lang siya sa inventory natin. So, we'll have 180 units na for our inventory. Again, 180 will be carried over onto the fourth period. 180. However, on period 4, kulang tayo ng production. So, we can use your inventory to cover up your insufficient production. So, your ending inventory will now be just 100. Kasi yung 80, nagamit na to cover up for insufficient inventory. Again, 100 will be carried over onto the fifth period. Now, again, yung output minus forecast natin ay mas malaki doon sa ating beginning inventory. So, that only means your ending inventory will be 0 kasi may use up yung inventory natin. And yung sosobra doon sa ating negative will be going on to the backlog. So, meron tayong 80 units na backlog. Now, sa sixth period, 0 yung ating inventory. So, yung ating excess production for period 6 will cover the backlog on period 5. So, kaya 0 na din yung ating ending inventory on the sixth period. Now, after this, we are going to get the average of your beginning and ending inventory. So, we have 40 for the first period. Then, 120, 170, 140, 50, and 0 for the last period. Then after this, again, we're going to get the sum of your average inventory and the sum of the total backlog na na-incur on this specific plan. So, yung ating total inventory is 520 and your backlog is total of 80 units. Now, let's move on to the cost calculation for this particular plan. So, for the regular production, so we have 1,680 times 2. That's $3,360. Then, for the overtime, 120 units yung in overtime times 3. $3 per unit kasi siya. So, that's 360. And then, we have inventory. We have 520 times 1. We have 520. Then we have backlog of 80 times 5 for 100 for a total of 4,640. Now, if you remember, yung first plan natin, 4,700 siya. So, ibig sabihin lang niya, so having 14 workers and overtime is more cost efficient. So, mas naging okay pala kung 14 na lang yung worker nila instead of 15. And that ends the aggregate planning topic. So, if you have further questions, you can comment down below, and then, or you can email me at my personal email account. And I hope to see you again. Thank you for watching.